Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion for Friday, June 28th, 2019. We have a lot to talk about today, some important things to go over. First, nothing happening in the Atlantic Basin this weekend, so no worries there. No worries out here near the Hawaiian Islands, Central Pacific region, nice and clear. But in the Eastern Pacific, things are starting to really light up. We saw the passage of that convectively coupled Kelvin wave, a very fancy schmancy way of saying a fertilizer truck went by and fertilized the region, so to speak, leaving a favorable area behind down here. This energy moved through from west to east. I can't explain why it doesn't just keep on going and produce stuff in the Atlantic. I guess the best explanation is that the negative conditions right now, the shear, the lack of moisture, the Saharan air layer, which is part of that lack of moisture pattern, all kind of act against it. And, even these convectively coupled Kelvin waves that typically help to spur activity, sometimes they're just not enough, especially when you think about the climatology that this time of year, this area is favored. The Caribbean and Western Gulf and Southwest Atlantic are too, but we're not supposed to see much activity in June in the Atlantic Basin. Typically in the Eastern Pacific you do, and so really nothing out of the ordinary overall. So there's Alvin. Alvin at one point was a weak hurricane, Category 1, and now moving over those cooler waters with a more stable atmosphere around it. This next system will go on to develop over the next several days well to the south of the Mexican coastline, and this will move on off to the west and west-northwest as Alvin has done. So no threat to the Baja over here, no threat to the resort areas or otherwise along the Pacific coast of Mexico. Nice steering pattern set up out here, generally speaking, to steer these systems more or less off to the west-northwest with time. That won't be the case every time. In fact, the models are showing another system will develop over here after this one, which should be Invest Area 94E, I do believe. And maybe this third system that looks like it's going to come along, it hasn't reached the outlook phase yet. It's just in the models right now. It might try to turn a little bit more to the north. We'll just wait and see. Bottom line, the Eastern Pacific going to have quite a bit of activity here, and you can see the intertropical convergent zone down around 10 degrees north latitude or so. Very active upward motion set in place where the air is able to rise. And then you got Alvin up here, and some of that high-level moisture coming off of Alvin toward the Baja, maybe making it into the southwest United States, northwestern Mexico, but that's going to be high-level moisture. Not getting any of that deep tropical moisture tap just yet. And I think after mid-July, we might start to see that happen. Here's the next system. Again, I'm assuming it's Invest Area 94E. Percolating down there along the intertropical convergence zone. You can see that bubbling motion to the atmosphere. This is kind of interesting sitting out here. No mention of it. Pretty strong upper level winds cutting across it, as you can see there. But that upward motion, the bubbling of the atmosphere, again, pretty prevalent. And it's going to be an active period here. Probably a couple more hurricanes to develop. And I suspect the way the models are showing this system here and all this energy that it's going to bundle, that the next system, I haven't looked at the names, but I'll make sure I get that. The B storm for the Pacific will probably become a major hurricane. Wouldn't surprise me. Category 3 or higher. So here's the model output over the next several days. This is the GIF animation here. It's going to reset right there. There goes Alvin and its remnants. This is at the 850 millibar chart level, and there's that next system that comes, and then there's the third one right there. This is a week out. So here we are at about day 3. There's day 4, and then you see by day 5 and 6, another system tries to develop in the southeastern Pacific. You see the energy from Alvin there just goes away over that cooler water of the Pacific there, well to the west of the Baja. But farther to the south and east, the water temperatures are warmer, the air mass is more unstable, and this next system is going to develop. Look at that vorticity signature, really bundling that energy, GFS, other models coming on board with this, and then this third system likely to strengthen out of the intertropical convergent zone, and this fertile area left behind by these convectively coupled Kelvin waves, these, again, fertilizer trucks. Man, that's the best way to describe it. They're spraying fertilizer on the field, and the field in this case is the Southeast Pacific. All right, so let's talk about some very important developments in the tropics. This is the latest update, a few days old now. It always is lagging behind, but that's fine. June 22nd update here. It's an animation, but it freezes on the last one, the last frame, and that's the one I want to show you. Very cold anomalies here in the eastern Pacific. This would be the surface. This is several hundred meters deep, more than 400 meters deep. So you're taking a slice through the ocean there along the equator in the Pacific. So here's about 90 degrees west longitude and way out to probably 150 or so, or 100 and what is it, 160, 140, 130 east longitude. And then you go at depth here. So cold water anomalies well below about 100 meters deep. This is in the eastern Pacific. This is shrinking. Bottom line, the El Nino is dwindling. And depending on what data you look at, you got the back up, get a little excited, a lot to talk about. The Australian Bureau of Meteorology saying that the El Nino is now inactive, or the ENSO state, what they call the El Nino Southern Oscillation state, is inactive. Climate Prediction Center is a little bit different in the way the U.S. interprets that data. It's more of an ongoing process, but we just go look at look out the window, see what's happening. And that's the window right there. Cold anomalies have made it to the surface in the eastern Pacific. The only warm anomalies that are left are shrinking. The overall heat content of the North Pacific along the equator is dwindling. And as such, the El Nino just not really doing well at all. The CDAS data, which is a 1981 through 2010 data set for the background. In other words, where do you get your averages from? What are we basing it on? And the CDAS data is a 1981 through 2010 baseline, and that's actually going to reset fairly soon. I was reading about, I think after 2020 or something like that. But whatever. It's showing that the daily Nino 3.4 area, in other words, the temperature along this area right through here is right about neutral. From Levi Cowan's site, some people, I tweeted about it yesterday. I probably should have showed you today, but that's okay. This is important because you see this very small area of upper ocean heat content dwindling. All right, so I'm going to show you some other things important, but this is related, okay? So here is the Gulf of Mexico. These are actual sea surface temperatures at the skin of the ocean. This is not your heat content, but if you go and jumped in the water, this is what it would feel like. And you see all through here, 30 degrees Celsius, 31 Celsius, close to Florida, 30 Celsius in here, and all the rest is 29. That is remarkable. I mean, that's really, really warm. And you'll see in a minute that the anomalies here are, fairly high relative to average. That's what an anomaly is, a departure from the norm. In the Atlantic, actual sea surface temperatures here, 27 Celsius, most of the area along the Carolina coast, 28, 29 down here in the low country of South Carolina down towards Savannah and beyond, it's 29 Celsius. Water temperatures are very warm right now, and so that brings me to this, the anomaly chart, which updated yesterday, right there. You see that? So take a look. I talked about the Gulf, warmer than average. You look over here in the Pacific, you got those cold areas showing up. Right along the equator there, you're losing the El Nino phenomenon. It's not nearly, it's almost neutral, really, honestly. But really important to look at how warm the tropics are and the subtropics up here, cold. Cold over warm. That's how it should be. if you want to have, and I'm just talking from a nature perspective, if nature is, in fact, let's rephrase it before I even jump off that cliff. If nature's going to produce Atlantic hurricanes, if the global heat budget says we have a surplus of that heat, we got to get rid of it, let's do it through tropical cyclones in the Atlantic basin, this is not a classic way, but this is definitely a positive sign, strictly meteorologically speaking, for the formation of hurricanes. Colder here, warmer here. It's not the classic look like '05 or 2010 or even '04, but let me show you something. This is 2019 right there. See, June 27th, 2019. We all remember the 2017 season. What did it look like around this same date 2 years ago? Oh, sorry, that's last year. You know what? Let's get that out of there. I screwed it up. That's 2017. Here we are now, 2017. Warmer, yeah, not remarkably warmer. You know, it's not like it was a degree Celsius warmer or 2 Celsius. But look at the similarities between 2017 here and 2019, especially in the Pacific. Let's draw some boxes and play with this a little bit. Watch this area. This is 2019, 2017. Very similar. A little bit warmer overall this year, but not markedly so. No dramatic differences. But look at the two things that are very similar. Colder subtropics in 2017, colder subtropics in 2019. Warmer deep tropics, quite a bit so, overall in 2017, also warm in 2019, and warming. All right? So that is, and you look, you see the Gulf this year is warmer already, and the Gulf's always going to be warm enough, so we really don't worry about that and take that into much consideration, unless it's significantly colder. So, what does all this mean? Well, now let's go look at the upper ocean heat content. These are the anomalies, these are the actuals. Well, how about the energy in the ocean? Well, here's 2019. Again, look at the similarities here. There it is, June 27th, 2019. What about 2 years ago? Wow. We are ahead of 2017. Wouldn't you say? This is this year. This is 2017. See, right there. Just going to call your attention to it. So you see that I'm not making this up. This is not fake news. Oh, I hate that we even have to say that, but whatever. There we go. I mean, wow. The deep tropics, you know, way ahead of last year for sure, but certainly look at the Caribbean this year compared to 2017. I mean, that is remarkable all through here, and that is, of course, where Irma and Maria plowed through. So, in the Caribbean, the Western Caribbean, you see this year, a lot of heat content off the southeast, the loop current sticking up into the Gulf. Compared to 2 years ago, you know, it's, I don't know, I'm just showing you what it all means, August and September and beyond. I don't know. You still have to have the activity to happen to take advantage of this. So here's my plea to you. You remember 2017, you remember last year, please take action, all right? You folks down in the Caribbean, all the way up through, you know, the Central America. We have not had a Western Caribbean monster hurricane in quite a long time. The Gulf states all the way up to New England. Just use this, you know, I want to sound enough of an alarm. This is like, and somebody who went through a health scare last December, I'm going to talk about this more from a personal level. You folks have remarked, oh, look at all the weight you've lost. Well, a long time ago now, you know, 10, 15 years ago, the doctor said, dude, you're gaining weight, your blood pressure is going up. You got to do something about it. And I blew it off. Yeah, I'll do something about it. I didn't do anything about it, and last December it almost killed me. We'll talk about that another time, maybe, whatever. It didn't kill me, and I survived, okay? That's like somebody who lives along the coast, and they hear about hurricanes for years, and they never do anything about it. And then they go through a hurricane like Florence or whatever. I don't want to say Michael, because Michael's about as bad as it gets, but, you know, maybe Michael came in and it obviously came over Mexico Beach and vicinity, and you live over in Panama City Beach proper, and you go, whew, that was a close call. Well, that's your wake-up call. Take this seriously. This is your warning sign. This is your doctors telling you, and I'm no PhD, but I'm just saying, you got high blood pressure, you're gaining some weight, whatever. You live along the coast, down here in the islands. Oh, look, that's just a terrible little line there. Let's use, why is it so small? Come on. You live down here. Oh, it's purple. That's why it's not showing up. See, it screwed up my speech here. You live in the islands, anywhere, Bahamas, the Carolinas, up Florida, anywhere. You live along the coast, these hurricane-prone areas, please look at this and say, there are not too many negative signs for the hurricane season. I better take it seriously. I realize it can be expensive. I'm not saying that everybody should, as if you could afford it, right? I understand. I can barely afford to do this as my career, much less fortify my house to where it's impenetrable. But you got to do something. Have a plan. Check on your insurance. Get renter's insurance if you're a renter. Something. Because this hurricane season probably is going to mean business. And it doesn't matter how many there are. It only matters that one that comes into your neck of the woods. Just ask folks who've dealt with it these last several years, starting all the way back with Matthew, if you want to look at this recent flurry of activity, 16, 17, 18, pretty busy, and it could continue this year. All right, so I'm just showing you the deal, urging you to say, yep, I'm going to start taking notice. 1 month down, June's gone for all intents and purposes. All right, we got all of July. Things may start picking up at the end of July. You never know. Do something now. Seriously, it's time. All right, you want a reminder of how bad it can be? I made a documentary about it. I'm very proud of it. The reviews from people are just incredible. Emails, Twitter posts, etc. It's called Tracking the Hurricanes. That's the original series, the 2018 edition on Amazon Prime Video. You can just search Tracking the Hurricanes, and there it is. You can rent it or purchase it and support my work. But, more importantly, it's great to have that support. Of course, money's what makes the world go round. But you get a look at what it's like to deal with just a Category 1, Florence, air quotes there, and then, of course, Category 5, Michael, and the contrast between those two, yet they both had devastating outcomes for the people that they impacted that will last for generations. I cover that in the documentary, plus the story of how we developed this unmanned camera and weather station. That kind of gets left behind. The video is certainly stunning, but the data that we're collecting, too, with these instruments, meteorological instruments that you don't buy at a superstore. They're for scientific instruments that cost thousands of dollars each, and we're doing that, and in large part thanks to your support. That's covered in the documentary, so head over to Amazon Prime Video and check that out. I'm also, by the way, on Patreon if you want to become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and we're getting ready to do some incredible new stuff because it's growing, and you're allowing me to do more, and it feeds back. Netflix had to start somewhere. We're doing the same. So, hey, if I ever have even a tenth of Netflix subscriber base, I will buy my own C-130 and hire my own meteorological crew, and we'll fly hurricanes privately. But we'll see about that, right? Seriously, though, the crowdfunding thing is absolutely incredible. Wow, what a world we live in. I appreciate the support. I'm also on Twitter at HurricaneTrack, if you didn't know that. And if you're going to subscribe on YouTube, make sure you hit that little notification button. I'm learning about this stuff. You can teach an old dog new tricks. You sure can. And then you'll be notified when I post a video. But you know what? Our patrons, you guys get the videos first. No matter what level you pledge, you get the videos first. And within about 30 minutes after I publish it on Patreon, I make it public to the rest of YouTube. I always want to serve the public, but I also have to figure out a way to fund this. And that's a creative way. So thank you, Patreon. You guys have a great weekend. I will do an update probably on Sunday. I'm going to take tomorrow off and not really take it off, but We covered a lot today. Stew on it, think about it, and let it ruminate around in your frontal lobe, and, think about what you're going to do about the hurricane season. What can you do? Something. And the information I have showed you here is very important because it's showing, I think, where we're headed. We'll see. There's no guarantees, right? Except you know what and you won't you know what. We don't want to talk about that, though. Have a good Friday and a good weekend. I'll be back on Sunday with another update. I am Mark Sutta. Thanks for watching from your side of whatever device you happen to be tuning in to me on. It's awesome to have you there. I'll talk to you again on Sunday.